All right, here we are. And the Mishnah that we're in is, in my numbering, it's Mishnah 6 in second chapter of Pirkei Avot.
Yeah.
And we looked at the beginning, we started talking about this, about two very much connected statements. Ein bur yirei chet, a bur cannot be a person who is fearing of sin, or a bur doesn't fear sin. You could read it as just descriptive, or you could read it as, this, believe me, if you're a bur, you can't do this. And v'lo ha'ma'aretz chasid, and an ignorant person, an unlearned person, is not a person who is pious. Is not a person who, or could be pious. And one more shot at Rabbi Shapiro's translation of that. Josie, it's all yours.
The fearlessness of a fool is empty. The piety of a boor is hollow.
Okay, that's it. That's all. So that's the nexus that he's creating. We can say a boor will never be in awe of sin or reverent of sin.
I can't remember where we are. Where are we again? Which?
It's either Mishnah 5 or Mishnah 6, depending on what text you have.
But it's Pirkei Avot 2.
Correct. And
Okay.
Hillel said some things. So the first section is Hillel said a bunch of things. And then in my edition, Hillel said is Mishnah 5. And then Mishnah 6 says, and he used to say, etc. Okay?
All right.
So I want to just bring it up again for everybody. What's the relationship between morality and education, knowledge? What's the relationship between piety and knowledge? I mean, don't we often, or can't we imagine simple people who are so, simple in their faith and simple in their devotion to God and just the salt of the earth? So what's he trying to say? Yeah, Sarita.
Yeah, that really perplexed me, because there's even some midrashim about that, about how it's the simpler person, this little shlemiel at the back of the synagogue, right?
The Baal Shem Tov.
Right, the Hasidim went to town on that idea, but there
Yeah.
are midrashim earlier. Right, there's a whole long tradition extolling and raising up people who are not the rabbis, the scholars. Certainly not the academics.
Right. And then there, of course, are very knowledgeable people, learned people, who in fact aren't pious at all. And that includes people who are really learned in Torah, who are unfortunately not very moral or ethical.
So let's notice that he doesn't say, if you're learned, you're moral.
But it sets that up. It sets that up as,
that's the question. That's the question. Is he saying that? No, he's not. He's saying just because you're learned doesn't make you moral. But guess what? This is the interpretation I'm pushing. But if you're not learned, you'll never be pious. I don't know the learned people that are plenty of learned people are not pious. But if you're not learned and you want to be pious, you got a way to go. So what would he be trying to claim in terms of this necessity of learning, this necessity of adopting certain ethical conventions and not being a boor? What are the ingredients that go into making a person who is, concerned about their ethical choices? That's what let's to modern lingo. Yirei chet, person who is fearful, who is reverent of the idea of, what sin is at the door. I want to, when I do certain things, when I make certain choices, I want to make sure I'm not stepping into it, that I'm not doing something wrong. So many of us have a kind of inherent sense of what's right and wrong. And then we're very convinced that whatever we do is right. and whatever the other person does is wrong. How much we, each of us, we really ask ourselves soul-searching questions. Is what I'm about to do, what I'm about to say, is that really the right thing to do, the right thing to say? But that's what Yirei Chet means. And to be to be wary of not doing the wrong thing. And that is a self-judgment question. If you don't consider yourself capable of doing the wrong thing, you don't have to worry about it. But if you think that, it's possible for me to do the wrong thing, maybe in this situation, because it's so complicated, then what personal kinds of characteristics do you have to cultivate? And then the second part is a chassid. I want to be pious. I want to go that extra yard, that extra, I want to, because piety is not simply doing things by rote, doing things the right way. You didn't catch me. I did the right thing. You couldn't. I didn't break the law. That's not a chassid. A chassid is someone who seeks to do a little bit more than that, right? What would the function of education be in terms of that? Anybody else? Yeah, Josie.
I keep thinking of what you read every time we do the kosher salt, that this one doesn't remember that and the other. And finally, the man says, I don't remember, but I know we're supposed to at least ask for your help. And God says, okay. So
Well, not more than that. And tell the story.
Yeah.
Tell the story of those who did know.
But isn't that the opposite of what this
So,
passage is telling
right.
us?
So I think that we're talking about, he's talking to people who have certain either presumptions or aspirations. Right? He's saying, the second one is an aspirational. To be a chassid is to aspire, is to try for more, right? Yirei Chet is, I'm concerned, I worry that I'm doing the wrong thing. That's about, well, I'm assuming that I might or I might not. So he says, what, if you're a boor is a person who doesn't actually question anything they do and who don't want to be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me, go out on a limb a little bit. There's all these discussions. What the heck is going on? And if anybody here has a problem with this, you can clarify things for me. What the heck is going on with the people who don't want to get vaccinated?
Yeah.
And one of the major things is a cultural thing that in many of those areas where there's a more prevalent or a more public expression of that, it's because the culture is nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm not, who the heck do you think you are? And with that becomes even a kind of a suspicion of people who are smarter than you, right? Oh, you think you're so smart? Forget it. Then you're really, there's this reversal of this Hillel thing is, what? Get some education if you want to really figure out how to live life. The unexamined life, not that it's not worth living. Every life is worth living. That's a terrible statement. The unexamined life is not worth living. So I just want to go on record. I really find that an abominable statement. But an unexamined life is dangerous. You can, if you don't examine what you're doing, you're actually maybe going to, step on somebody without paying any attention to it. So we don't live in little bubbles. So the, a lot of what he's saying is, remember what he said all the way at the beginning, don't take yourself out of the community. Once you're in community, then there's such a complicated set of questions at any step of what's the impact of what I'm about to do or say on everybody else? What's the impact of what everybody else is saying on what I think is what's right or wrong? How do I raise my voice to support something that I think is good for the community? How do I raise my voice to challenge stuff that's out there that's just dumb or that's, evil? So these are the kinds of questions. And he says a boor is that empty pit, right? Is the empty pit, and he's proud of it, right? He says, I am who I am. And if you've got a problem with that, that's your problem.
Popeye.
A Yorei Chet says, I've got my own problem with myself. So I have to keep on asking myself, what's going on? It's a recognition that the more life becomes complicated, the more it's possible to make a mistake. So that's the board. And I would say that the Am Haaretz was also a person who was saying, you know what? This is the way we've always done it. This is the way I've always done it. I have, my own genuine faith in God. That's great. But if you want to seek out more, if you want to grow, a Chassid is a person who wants to grow in their spirituality. If you want to grow, then you can't remain closed to learning. There has to be a desire to learn in order for you to be able to find more. And that, of course, leads us into the next statement. John, I saw your hand. One more second. I want to put in a plug for a show that I saw during this horrible year. 1 second. Hello, good morning. I'm in the middle of a class. I'll call you back, okay? Oh, no. Mountainside? Mountainside? Okay. Who do you want to? All right. Okay. Do you need somebody to take you?
No, it's Toby.
Okay, I'll call Bill. Okay. Bye. I'll call you right back. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I have to take care of this. Is a little bit of an emergency. So I forgot what I said. Oh yeah, the show doesn't matter. Oh, we'll talk about it next time. I'm going to have to end this early. I'm sorry, and we'll get back together again next week, God willing.